Hare Krishna. A subtle shift is happening in ISKCON. It doesn't openly reject Bhakti. It doesn't deny Kṛṣṇa. Instead, it quietly changes the standard of qualification from spiritual realization to bodily designation. That is what we might call a Neo-Smarta influence. To understand why this matters, we need a little history. From the time of Śrī Caitanya Mahāprabhu, the principal opposition to the Gauḍīya Vaiṣṇava movement often came from the Smārta brāhmaṇas. The Smārtas emphasized ritual purity, hereditary privilege, caste distinctions, and countless social regulations. The word Smārta comes from Smriti, which is, lots of Vedic references and overfocus on that aspect. The Gauḍiyas, on the other hand, boldly proclaimed that pure devotion to Kṛṣṇa transcends birth, caste, gender, and social status. Mahaprabhu embraced Haridas Thakur, born in a Muslim family, as the Nama ācārya. He empowered Rupa and Sanatan, who had been rejected by the Orthodox society. Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Prabhu, Ramanuja ācārya before them, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and later Srila Prabhupada all challenged this ritualistic, hereditary mentality that placed bodily designations above devotional qualification. So throughout history, whenever pure bhakti has flourished, the same mentality has arisen to resist it. The hallmark of Neo-Smarta thinking is that it elevates secondary ritualistic rules above the essential conclusions of Vedic knowledge. It becomes preoccupied with minor social and ceremonial regulations while overlooking the central message of our philosophy. We are not these bodies, we are eternal souls. And every soul has the potential to render pure devotional service to Kṛṣṇa. Now, historically, this mentality created an elite class that used scriptural rules, not to inspire devotion, but to restrict it. Instead of asking who is most qualified by realization, character, and devotion, the question became who has the right birth, who has the right body. The result was a system where bodily designation overshadowed spiritual qualification. And today we see the same pattern emerging. The argument against Vaishnavi Diksha gurus ultimately comes down to one idea, that there is something about a woman's bodily designation that permanently disqualifies her from serving as an initiating spiritual master. But that immediately raises an obvious question. If a Vaishnavi is qualified to teach Kṛṣṇa consciousness, to inspire devotees, to answer philosophical questions, to guide aspiring disciples for years and decades, and to transform lives through her realization and her example as a Shiksha Guru, then what spiritual qualification suddenly disappears the moment you have to give a name? Just give a name and beads. The moment initiation is involved. All of a sudden, what happened? There is no satisfying answer because the distinction itself is artificial. And Prabhupada noted it. And he bulldozed right through that. And he gave a written directive that I want my daughters to initiate. The essence of Guru is not performing a ceremony. The essence of Guru is transmitting Kṛṣṇa consciousness. Diksha is not some magical thinking, magic performance. It is the formal establishment of a relationship with the spiritual master who is already acting as a guru through instruction, realization, and personal example. Ironically, the very people who appeal to traditional social codes often overlook the fact that according to those same codes, many of them would not themselves qualify as brāhmaṇas or gurus because they were not born into hereditary brāhmana families. Standards are not being applied consistently. They are being applied selectively. Another symptom of this Neo-Smarta mentality is a frequent appeal to the Vedas as though merely invoking that phrase settles the discussion. Of course, the Vedas are our authority, but the real question is, who gives the proper understanding of the Vedas? For ISKCON, that answer is Srila Prabhupada. who is faithfully representing Gauḍīya Parampara. The Bhagavatam is called the Amala Purana, spotless Purana, because it presents the mature conclusion of all Vedic knowledge. If a philosophical conclusion is truly central, we should expect to find it established in the Bhagavatam. Yet the Bhagavatam nowhere teaches that women are permanently disqualified from serving as gurus. Instead, Gauḍīya Vaiṣṇava theology repeatedly teaches spiritual qualification is determined by devotion, realization, and knowledge of Kṛṣṇa, not externals. So when secondary texts or temporary social conventions are elevated above these foundational conclusions, the result is not greater fidelity to Shastra. It is the very pattern that Gauḍīya ācāryas have challenged for centuries. So the issue is therefore much bigger than the question of Vaishnavi Diksha gurus. It is about what kind of movement ISKCON will become if we allow these mentalities to go unfettered. Will we recognize the spiritual authority based on purity, realization, and the ability to awaken devotion in others? Or will we gradually drift back toward the same ritualistic elitism that our previous ācāryas repeatedly struggled to overcome? Throughout history, pure bhakti has always defeated bodily designation. That is Mahaprabhu's revolution. That was Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's revolution. That was Srila Prabhupada's revolution. Our responsibility is to ensure that this Neo-Smarta mentality does not quietly undo the revolution from within. Bhakti is transcendental. The soul is transcendental. And the qualification to serve Kṛṣṇa, including serving as guru, is ultimately a spiritual qualification, never a material one. Hare Krishna.